Welcome back, y'all, and happy Sunday. It's time for my dad's thoughts and grades from Tennessee versus Vandy. Please make sure to like and subscribe to the channel. I am dealing with a little bit of a cold today, so you will have to bear with me. Thank y'all so much for your patience. Right now, what we're looking at is the box score from the game yesterday, and there's a whole lot of stats here. We're not going to go through most of this stuff, but we always start off giving our grades to the coaching staff. And for the offense, love what we did, okay? Very, very balanced. Ran the football 47 times. We were mixing in a whole lot of inside zone, outside zone, power running to the inside and also to the outside. All looked beautiful. We talked about how the power running game could work very well versus Vanderbilt's 2-4-5 defense, so I'm happy that we did that. Also, read options mixed in there. Nico's keeping the football, just keeping Vandy's defense on their heels. And we did a phenomenal job on third down. I think that we were converting at like 73% or something like that, which I think goes to the route combinations and, things like that, play calling, obviously, but really it's more about the route combinations that we were running versus that cover three. Everything looked good. Nico had the options, whether it's down the field where I think through 4 passes of 20 yards or more, that would be all the way down here. And then we actually hit on 2 of those. So those are pretty good numbers. In typical games, Tennessee does need to try to force the football down the field more, but we didn't have to in this game because we're doing such a great job of running the football. But from top to bottom, man, I would give the entire offensive staff an A. Now for Tennessee's defense, I think that we did some nice things from a scheme perspective. It wasn't always executed perfectly, but we all knew that Vandy, with this option offense that they like to run, with the quarterback that's very mobile, that's giving a lot of other teams problems, we knew that we would come into this game trying to limit what he does. And I think that we had a perfect game plan to do just that. So, I would say from top to bottom, wasn't a whole lot of blitzes and things like that. It was just more about being very fundamentally sound. So I would also give our defense an A, and then Coach Heupel will also get an A, because I think that we did a great job of having our guys ready to play, right? Like, it was not perfect to start it off, but it was really just a few minor, non-execution type plays or plays that we executed poorly on that, got us off to a slower start. But once we actually got into the game, I do think that Coach Heupel managed things well. So the entire staff will get an A from me. All right, y'all, now let's take a look at this offensive line. We gave up 0 sacks yesterday, which is absolutely tremendous, and we only gave up 3 pressures. So great job by everybody up front. Lance Heard gave up 2 of those 3 pressures, but I think that he had a tremendous game, not just in pass protection, but also in run blocking. All of our guys did a beautiful job, really, from top to bottom. And next player right here, Spraggs, you see he gave up 0 pressures, 0 sacks. Cooper Mays, a whole bunch of zeros right there. Really, pretty much everyone on the offensive line gave up 0 pressures. The only other person that did give up a pressure was Dane Davis. But that group just played so well. I'm going to give them an A+. Now let's talk about our front 4 on defense. As y'all can see right here, we're getting pressure at a 56% clip. That is tremendous. And starting off at the top with James Pierce, he didn't have any sacks, but you can see his pressure rate at 28.6%. That tells you all that you need to know. I think that he did a really good job in run support as well, just kind of, maintaining his outside leverage and, setting the edge, things like that. Joshua Josephs played outstanding like he normally does. He had 1 sack and his pressure rate was also 28.6%. So having, 2 guys on the edges, especially on third downs whenever we get to that rabbits package, you gotta love it, man. We got 2 studs right here. And again, I think that Joshua Josephs did a beautiful job in run support as well. Jackson Moy got him a sack, okay? His pressure rate was 18.2%. He was very dominant. He did a good job of not getting moved. We talked a whole lot about our tackles getting double teamed, and it's going to be important in that game for them not to get moved. And I would say like 99% of the time, they were not getting moved. So that helped the defense out in a very, very big way. Next player, Omar Normalat, 1 sack, pressure rate 18.2%. He definitely balled out. He, typically does. Tyree West, man, playing at strong side DN. No sacks, but 11.1% pressure rate. So I also think that he played well, obviously. Getting that safety, just being so disruptive playing at strong side DN. I think he's our best guy playing at strong side DN. Next player, Bryson Eason, 1 sack, 12.5% pressure rate. He also balled out. Did a really good job of, again, just not getting moved, of getting penetration, even with double teams. So super proud of him. Next is Don Bailey, who had 0 sacks, but he also had a 12.5% pressure rate. I think that he played well. And we have Jason Jenkins. He got 0 sacks and a 0% pressure rate. So obviously that's not good from him. But I think that he did a pretty good job just as far as run support. Big O doesn't have a whole lot of stats right here, but he also played a very, very good game, just not getting moved around. David Hobbs, look at that pressure rate, 20% for a young guy. Super proud of him as well. Caleb Herring, 50% pressure rate. My goodness. Big E also played very, very well. I'm going to give our front four on defense an A. Next is Nico, who I think played very well. Obviously, he did throw that one interception, but he did go 18 of 28, which is about 64%. And if you come on over here, this column is going to show you the adjusted completion percentage. It just kind of adds in drops and things like that, which I want to say that Nico had, or, he threw 2 passes that were dropped in this game. But if it wasn't for that, he would be at 74%. I think that he played absolutely tremendous, not just throwing the football, but obviously using his legs whenever he needed to, or, whenever the team needed for him to do that. So all those types of things had to make you feel very, very good about, where Nico's at, obviously, too. Doing a really good job of placing those footballs. A couple of those throws that, people might overlook, man, they were just absolute dimes. They were ropes. Like that pass to Matthews, dude, that was such a beautiful pass, just a flick of the wrist. But he's also giving his wide receivers passes that they can make plays on. So he's throwing it up, just a little bit soft, and we talked a whole lot about that with him. But I think that he almost played perfect, again, if it wasn't for that interception. So I'm going to give him a very solid A. Next is our running back room, and obviously they played tremendous. D-Samp, he's a dog. He had 178 yards on the ground, but he does have to take better care of the football. He just keeps on fumbling, even though I think that Heupel probably could have challenged that play and, would have been overturned. But if you look at this column right here, okay, these are the missed tackles that were forced by our running backs. Dylan Sampson forced 11 missed tackles in this game. So that's absolutely tremendous. Let's keep on going. We got the yards per carry over here, which obviously whenever you're averaging over 7 yards a carry, you're doing something right. But let's keep on going because I want to take a look at the yards before contact. So Dylan Sampson actually had 70 yards before contact. What that means is the offensive line did a really good job of blocking for him. Not just them, but, tight ends too. So super proud of what D-Sam did out there. I also think that their pass protection was a lot better. Y'all actually might have noticed that whenever we're looking at the offensive line's pass protection grades. But he did a good job. I think that Bishop also, he played well. Looks like he had 1 explosive run. Dylan Sampson had 5. But, man, I think that Bishop did a really nice job in pass protection. Again, that's one of my biggest things. But just running that football, I think that he did very well. So I'm going to give this group an A also. All right, now let's talk about our wide receiver room up at the top. Mike Matthews, I think that he played great, especially considering he had to step up for Brew not being able to go. But he had 5 targets with 3 catches for 30 yards, 1 touchdown, also 1 drop pass. But, man, he was blocking down the field well. On Dante Thornton's touchdown, he absolutely killed somebody. So he's just a dog. I think that he needs a lot more playing time. We've got to try to target him even more, and I'm happy that we did that in this game. So let's come on down to Chris Brazzell right here. He had 6 targets and 5 catches for 54 yards. I think that he also played well. He's stepping up. He's playing with a lot more confidence. He's making those tough catches. All these guys block well down the field. So we'll keep on going right here to Corral White, who had 1 target, but no catches. Obviously, Dante Thornton, dude, he played tremendous. 4 targets, 3 catches, 118 yards, and 2 receiving touchdowns, 0 drops. This is definitely Nico's go-to guy, and I think that he's earned himself a lot of money coming up in this year's draft. Next, Caleb Webb, he had 2 targets with only 1 catch, 4 yards. I think he could have got a lot more out of that. Probably just one of those situations where he's trying to do a little bit too much and just ends up kind of falling down. But I think that this room played very, very well. I'm going to give them an A. And while we're here, let's go ahead and take a look at our tight ends. So right here, okay, we have Miles Kitselman, who had 2 targets and 2 catches, 1 of which was a touchdown. He's continuing to play well, not just as a pass catcher, but also blocking. Really, really nice job there. Right here, we have Ethan Davis, who I think played pretty solid. He does need to get a lot more physical. It almost seems like he's closing his eyes before contact. So we got to get him up to speed as far as that goes. But he did make some pretty solid blocks out there. Now let's come back up here to Holden Stays, who had 1 target with 0 catches, but I think he did a great job blocking. So I would give the tight end room a very, very solid A. All right, now let's talk about our skill players on defense. We'll start off with the linebackers. I think that they all played very, very well. I was a little bit disappointed to start the game off, but going back, watching the film, I understand what they were doing, just being patient, and they have come such a long way of taking on blocks. The one player that I feel like needs to step up just a little bit better at taking on those blocks will be Caleb Perry. But, man, look, we got to see guys like Edwin Spillman get in there, and he looked really good. I'm going to tell y'all, our linebacking room moving forward is going to be absolutely incredible. There's a lot of young players that are really starting to step up and figure it out. Obviously, Arion Carter played very well. Jalen Smith, he had a really good game. Jeremiah Thielander did some very nice things, and they had very, very tight coverage down the field. So I'm going to give that group an A+. Now let's talk about our secondary. This is going to be their coverage grades and all of that good stuff. But starting off with the star position, I think that they, played well. Obviously, Christian Harrison, he's done such a tremendous, tremendous job of playing with proper leverage and coming up, making tackles, just being physical. He also looked really good down the field in pass coverage. Now, Bull Carter had a very, very good game, but he did give up that one touchdown, on that like seam route. And it's really just because he, kind of like lost focus. Either way, I think that he did play very, very solid. Both of those guys did. I would give that room an A-. Now let's talk about the safeties. I think that they played well in coverage. I mean, if you just kind of go through here, you'll see that no one gave up any passes, just as far as Vandy actually targeting them. So that definitely looks good. I think that we did a pretty solid job within our run fits. Got to be a little bit stronger at the point of contact with guys like Will Brooks. He kind of got trucked sometimes, but, that is going to happen. I do give him credit, though, for, sticking his daggum neck in there and helping us, make some stops. So safety room gets an A. And cornerbacks, obviously up at the top, Jamal McCoy is saying he gave up 60% of the passes that was thrown to him, but it was, just basically all underneath stuff. Does a great job of just making plays for us. Obviously, he does get that interception, but I also love how physical both of our starting cornerbacks are because they will come up into the box and set edges or take on those big old offensive linemen. Love seeing that. Ricky Gibson, he had a tremendous game. They're saying that all the passes that was thrown on him were completed, but he only had one target and only one was actually completed on him. So they played very, very well. And all the way down here, we have Jalen McMurray. They're saying he was giving up passes at about 33%. Again, that was an underneath pass, the only one that they actually called on him. So he's playing well. Our cornerbacks always play well, showing up, making plays. They get an A+ from me. All right, so obviously, y'all, from top to bottom, this team played absolutely tremendous. And I think that was our best game. That was the most complete game that we've played all season long. I hate that we're going to have 3 weeks off just because I want us to stay hot. But if this team can stay hot, okay, if this team plays how they played versus Vandy coming up here in about a month, then I would say that we have a very, very good shot, whether it's at home, on the road, wherever it's at, versus anybody to win a 60-minute game. So that's it for my thoughts. Please share yours with me down in the comment section. And as always, please make sure to like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, share with your friends, family, and other volunteer fans. We'll see y'all on the next one. Thanks. Peace.